Tonight on Delta Safari, we look at the mysterious case of the downing of Night Shift 282. Happy Halloween! On October 23, 2002, 54-year-old Thomas Preziose was working for Mid-Atlantic Freight, flying a Cessna Caravan on a nightly cargo run that took him from Mobile to Montgomery and Atlanta. The retired police officer turned pilot departed Mobile Downtown Airport, known locally as Brookley Field, with a 400 or so pound cargo of baseball bats. Preziose informed the tower that he planned to fly at 9,000 feet because, as he put it, the radar's out, referring to the Cessna's weather radar. It was a cloudy night. There was a little bit of precipitation in the area, and visibility was affected. Brookley Field instructed the pilot to climb to 3,000 feet, then turn towards the east. It was then that the tower alerted him to an inbound DC-10 which was flying south at around 4,000 feet. Preziose confirmed, "Roger, I got him above me right now." Seconds later, Preziose's panicked voice cried out,
"I needed to deviate. I needed to deviate. I needed to deviate. I needed."
This is the runway at Brookley Field. This is where Night Shift 282 took off from. Someone or something had different plans. The flight took off from there, zip around here, and headed out that way across Mobile Bay. And it did not make it very far. 282 was headed to Montgomery and then Atlanta after leaving Mobile, but it only got as far as Spanish Fork, which you can see ahead of you. What happened that night, 21 years later, is still unexplained. Night Shift 282 would have taken off directly in front of us. When he came out, he was heading towards the north, out over the delta here. He was told to go east right about here. Just up that way is Conway Creek. Conway Creek takes you into Big Bateau Bay, which is where the wreckage of Night Shift 282 was ultimately discovered. Although you're not very far from the city, the area where the plane went down is very remote. And the water is said to be anywhere from 6 inches to about 3 feet deep, depending on the tide and recent rainfall. But from where we stand here, we're probably looking at about an hour paddle by kayak, maybe less. 5-10 minutes by motorboat. While all plane crashes, at least in the beginning, are wrapped in an air of mystery, accident investigators for Night Shift 282 will tell you that this crash was even more confounding than most. According to CNN, here are the most intriguing aspects. Investigators found red streaks, transfer marks they call them, on various pieces of the shredded Cessna pulled from the muck. The red does not match red mailbags or other objects known to be on the plane. Investigators also found a small piece of black anodized aluminum embedded in the skin of the plane. The aluminum is not from the accident airplane. Those facts led National Transportation Safety Board accident investigator Butch Wilson to conclude that the Cessna 208B Caravan collided in flight with an unknown object. The article goes on to say that theories abound. Some believe Night Ship 282 collided with a drug smuggler's plane, the loss of which might go unreported. Some wonder if Night Ship 282 was pelted by a meteor or possibly space junk. Others think it collided with a military drone run amok, or perhaps hit by a missile. Some even suggest the plane was struck by terrorists, perhaps aiming at a larger plane nearby. NTSB officials are not embracing their investigator's statement that Night Ship 282 collided with an unknown object. They say the statement is analytical in nature and does not belong in the factual report. A great deal of the speculation as to what Night Ship 282 collided with falls on the DC-10 that was the other bogey on the radar that night, the one that the tower instructed him to turn east to avoid, which was a DC-10 that was a FedEx delivery plane. There's a FedEx facility at Brookley Field. Now, it would appear that there's no way it collided with the DC-10 because the DC-10 did not have any damage, nor did they report any kind of collision. They actually said that they could see the Cessna from a distance. There were a lot of clouds that night, but there were also gaps in the clouds. If Night Ship 282 truly collided with something in midair, it only makes sense that debris from both vehicles would have been found at the crash site. As I stated before, the water is very shallow there, so there's no way anything could hide or, escape detection. Even though the water is shallow, there is really deep, thick mud underneath, maybe 8 feet deep, and things can get sucked down into it. But with metal detection and the like, it shouldn't elude modern technology. But the only debris found at the crash site was Night Ship 282. The only thing that did not belong to Night Ship 282 were those bizarre red stripes. Now, one other peculiarity about the crash is that the engine was actually split in two completely different pieces. And that's not consistent, they say, with something making contact directly with the water, like a splashdown scenario. Now, they have since revised that initial investigation report a time or two, actually. And in 2006, it was reworded to suggest, but not out and out imply, that there was simply pilot error, that he saw the DC-10 from a distance. There was some kind of visual effect or trick of the eyes that made it look like he was about to collide with it. He panicked, went into a dive, couldn't pull out, and it suggests that's what happened. It also, in that revision, seemed to suggest that they changed their mind about the origin of the red paint, and that all of a sudden, even though several lab tests had said it was unrelated to anything in the plane, they were now attributing it to things that were in the plane at the time. Now, all of that just reeks of the typical government disinformation. But there is one more possible cause for this accident. But it's not one that most people really want to talk about. Was there something else in the skies over the Mobile Tensaw Delta that night. Something that eludes terrestrial technology. Something that wanted to go undetected. Something that also possessed such power that it could have a collision in midair that totally destroyed a vehicle, yet sustained no damage itself. I just wonder.
Click like and subscribe. That was not a request, Earthling. If men in black suits showed up, you saw nothing. Do you understand? Do